In 2022, I told my wife that I was going to win the lottery. She didn't believe me, but I knew I was going to win the lottery. I had this feeling just hanging over me, this aura. But I actually knew that I was going to win the lottery ticket in a small town in a mom and pop store. That's when I scanned it, and it said, big winner, $1 million. The machine shut down. I finally did it.
Welcome to Lottery Dreams and Fortune. I am excited to be joined here right now with Alton, who won an extraordinary prize. He won $1 million tax-free in Canada from Lotto 649 in 2022. Alton, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, Timothy. It's good to see you.
You as well. Thank you so much for taking the time. You have an extraordinary story, and let's dive right into it. What did you win, and how did this happen?
So I won the Lotto 649. It's a Ontario lottery in Toronto. It was actually $1 million tax-free. It was a very interesting win. Just the feel of winning it, I knew it was going to happen, but the probability, that the chances are very odd. So that win was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the probability and the odds are astronomical, as many people know. But as you are an example, and so am I, you defied these odds and you actually won this game.
So the chances are 1 in basically 14 million, unlike the Powerball, which is 1 in 292 million. So still very, very slim odds, right?
1 in 14 million. How much does it cost to play?
So I chose the option of it's $3 plus a encore, which is $4 in total.
And is the encore like a mega plier? It's like you can multiply the prize, or
it's a added insurance where you could win potentially another $1 million.
Okay. And then how many balls did you need to line up to?
It was a total of six balls. Yes.
Okay.
So there's 6 balls for the general ticket. And then there's a special feature that has a gold ball number and a white ball number. So I actually hit the white ball number, which is $1 million. So the draw is twice a week, and one person is guaranteed to win $1 million. So I was the one who hit it, that $1 million. So I was quite shocked by that.
Oh, I imagine. When this happened, is this a computer pick, or did you choose your own numbers?
I always do the computer pick. So I go in and the attendant always, I do the random pick by the computer draw.
Okay.
I don't have my predetermined numbers.
And then after you purchased this ticket, it was just one ticket. Is that right?
Correct. That's one ticket. Yes.
Okay. So what happened? What was the time frame between purchasing the ticket and then when you won, and how did you find out that you won?
So I had a habit of accumulating tickets. So I had probably a month of tickets. So I bought the ticket on September 17th, didn't check it until Thanksgiving weekend. So I had a stack of tickets, went into a local store, and I was going through 20 or 30 tickets. And because I was making it accumulate. And on the 4 tickets, that's when I scanned it, and it said big winner and $1 million. I continue checking the remaining of the tickets. Won a total of 4 prizes, $10, free tickets, free play. But the $1 million was the big winner. And I took a picture of the win, sent it to my wife. And of course, she didn't respond because it was Thanksgiving. She was preparing a meal for the family.
Did she see it?
Well, she didn't see it until I drove back home to tell her that I actually won the $1 million. And then we sort of postponed Thanksgiving preparation, drove back to another store to check it, to verify that it was actually $1 million. I thought there was a computer glitch.
So the first time when you checked all these tickets, so you saved the ticket from September, you purchased it, you brought it in November with a stack of other tickets.
Well, yeah. So Canadian Thanksgiving is actually October. American November is for Thanksgiving, right?
Aha. Yeah. Okay. So there was a period of weeks. So it was the Canadian Thanksgiving.
Correct.
Thank you for correcting me. So the Canadian Thanksgiving, so October. So there was a period of weeks. So you brought these tickets in October, and you thought there was a glitch. So walk me through this. So then you go back to get your wife and you go back to the next gas station or store and check it. And what
Yes.
happens?
So we went back to a smaller store, and there was nobody there except for the person who's attending the store at the time. Checked it, and then of course it appeared that this was actually correct, that I did win $1 million. So we went back home. We called OLG, which is the Ontario Lottery Gaming Corporation, and they give you specific instructions of what to do next. So they told us to go back to a store that we felt comfortable at, and then we scanned the ticket there. The machine shut down. Somebody calls from the OLG to verify that there's somebody with a ticket. They speak to the attendant, and then of course they want to speak to me. So we verify the ticket, and then of course there's a waiting period in which they get back to you in order to come in for an interview to verify that you're actually the rightful owner of the ticket. Everything checks out, and of course they're doing their due diligence to make sure there's transparency in the process for the correct winner.
When did you first realize that this was really real, that this was legitimate, really happening? Because you were skeptical at first.
I think after the verification process of the terminal actually shutting down, that's when I knew that this was real. Before, I'm always thinking that there's a glitch in the system and so forth. But when that actual screen and then the OLG calling the attendant, that's when I knew it was really the win.
The machine shut down and it called OLG on your behalf. It just did that automatically, or?
Yeah, I would say approximately 65 seconds later, there's a phone call comes in, and then they speak to the individual who's manning the terminal.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's quite quick. The process is very quick.
So what did they say?
They just want to know my name. They wanted to know the information on the ticket, and that took around, I'd say, probably 55 seconds to a minute. Very quick process.
There's probably a barcode or something on the ticket.
Correct.
And then claiming it. So there was a period of time that went by before you physically brought the ticket in, if I'm understanding this correctly.
That's
So then do you sign it, or what do you do with this ticket worth $1 million?
Well, so that was the process in which they called you at the store, and then approximately 2 weeks later, I think they called me, arranging a time for me to come in to claim the price and to bring the ticket. So that took place, I would say, probably 5 weeks after, because they were backlogged from the COVID winners. So 4 to 5 weeks went by, set an appointment, showed up around 9:30, went in, gave the attendant at the OLG the ticket. They took it away somewhere. I guess they were forensically analyzing the ticket, and then they put you into a waiting room. And then, of course, the big winners, they take to a higher floor where you have a VIP treatment, snacks, treats, a lounge, and so forth.
Oh, well, I love the sound of that.
So they segregate the low winners versus the high winners to a different part of the building.
So you got to go with the high winners.
I guess, yeah.
So what is it like with the high winners in the higher floor, the VIP treatment?
Just a very nice environment. There's nice couches, TV, there's snacks, there's drinks, there's beverages of different choices. Just a very relaxed environment. And then you see there's other winners there that have won big money.
Do people talk, or did you meet any of those people, or?
There was an individual that was in my room that won $100,000 from a scratch win. And then there was other people in other rooms, but there's only like 3 or 4 of us, very small cohort of winners.
And do you guys, or in that environment, does everyone kind of keep to themselves or keep it? I mean, you knew someone else that won 100,000. Do you guys talk about your experience, or is everybody super excited? What's the environment?
The environment is very quiet. You're looking at each other. You're wondering how much money that person won. But it's a long process, and then you sort of slowly open up to each other. Well, how much did you win? How did you win it? Where was it? And so forth. But it's a very relaxed, but at the same time nerve-wracking process, because you're wondering what the next steps are going to be.
Because you haven't actually been awarded the money yet.
Correct.
Do they eventually, someone comes out and calls your name, I assume, and takes you somewhere, and what happens? Does confetti come down and red carpet?
No. So what happens is a individual from the OLG, and I suspect it's probably a senior official, and they take you to a room, and in the room they basically go through a process, and they tell you that there's cameras in the ceiling recording the interview, and they also inform you that there's individuals in other locations that are watching the interview, and they go through questions and so forth. So
Wow.
some of the questions they ask you is your occupation. Do you have family members? Does a family member work at a OLG terminal? Because they want to make sure that there's no insider collusion that's taking place. They ask you your playing pattern, the time, the date. Did you buy a quick pick, or what type of ticket did you purchase, and so forth. So they know everything about you before you actually enter that room. So there's a digital footprint that they know about you. That's from my intuition of the process.
Wow. It sounds pretty strict. But you can't blame them with that kind of money. Were you feeling nervous when this happened, or?
Not really. um, I will say that the process is 100% airtight. They want to make sure that the person who won that prize is the actual person who gets it. So they're very stringent in the due diligence of awarding the winning prize to the correct person.
Hmm. And then after this is over, is there a waiting period where they say, "Oh, you passed this test. You are actually who you say you are," or what happens?
So in my situation, the first part lasted, I would say, approximately 40 minutes. They send you back to the lounge, and then they call you back in. And they basically go over, well, we have some more additional questions that we want to ask you. Can you sign your signature on a paper? And you do it like 5 or 6 times to match, I guess, your signature from the original ticket.
Hmm. So you had signed the ticket, and can you remind me, because we have viewers here and listeners from all over the world, and it's a little different in different countries. Some places they say sign a ticket, some places they say don't. But in Canada, you're supposed to sign the ticket. Is that right?
Correct. You're supposed to sign a ticket. Yes.
Uh-huh. And then you have to, is it a bearer document? So if in the United States, for example, in most places, if you don't have the physical ticket, if you bought a physical ticket, it's really difficult to try and redeem it without that ticket. Is that the case?
That's correct. But
So what? Oh, go ahead.
But for example, I think if I lost that ticket, I think
Mhm.
the OLG could find out who the correct owner was. So they could go back to the cameras, they could go back to using your phone, your tap to purchase the ticket. So there's a process where they could retrieve the winner, even though you didn't sign that ticket.
So what did you personally do with this $1 million ticket? Because, for me, I put this ticket that I had in a safety deposit box. I've heard of people putting it in a kitchen cabinet under their mattress, but what did you do?
I put it in actually in a very safe spot, which was located in my basement.
Okay.
So it was a nerve wracking, 4 to 5 weeks before claiming the prize. You go like, "This is $1 million in my basement. What if the house burns down? What if I lose it? What if something happens to it?"
Yeah, absolutely. How often were you checking on that ticket?
Every day, every day.
Oh my gosh. And so did you keep it pretty tight to your chest? I assume you didn't go out and how many people who knew about this? Your
Just
wife?
my just my wife.
How did you find it acting in social situations with other people, like keeping this giant $1 million secret?
It was just a normal process for me. I think that when the lottery, the odds are very slim, so I was just more excited about that instead of the $1 million. I don't think it changes. I don't think it changes who you are, or it changes. It didn't change me in the sense of I'm going to be a different person.
Right, right. And when you do win, because we spoke briefly on the phone before, or briefly before this interview, and you mentioned that you had what I believe you called controlled euphoria. So you had euphoria, but it was controlled. So how do you hold two emotions at once, both being excited and calm? What was your reaction? What were you actually feeling in the moment that you won and the days after that?
So when I scanned the ticket and I won the $1 million, I was just still straight face. I didn't really smile. I just said to myself, my inner voice, I finally did it because I knew this moment was going to come. Um, Part of the headline for the story was I was practicing for this moment for 32 years. I just knew I was going to do it. And after the waiting period for 5 weeks, I was just still the normal person that I was before I won the ticket. I mean, it didn't change me personally. I know that other winners, it might have changed their demeanor, their personality. For me, it didn't.
From my experience and from a lot of people I've met, everybody's different. It seems like a lot of people seem to stay, like it magnifies who they are on the inside already. Have you found that to be true for yourself?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, for example, there's always the question: does money buy you happiness? I don't think it buys you happiness. I think it actually buys you a peace of mind. With $1 million, with $10 million, I mean, your dishwasher breaks. Okay, you don't really sweat it. Your car breaks down. You don't really sweat it because you have that security of the monetary money that you have, right? So the happiness part, it doesn't do it, but the security part, it really does.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I completely, understand where you're coming from. So, what did you do? I want to ask in a couple minutes about that you've been waiting for this moment for 32 years, exactly your thoughts on that. But before I get to that, what did you do with this $1 million win? Are you able to say?
So I invested the money, of course, took my wife and kids on vacation, and just living this normal life.
And
It's not really about the material part of it. It's just once again, of course, that security of having the money in case something does arise in your life, right?
hmm
You know,
and
in emergency situations and in health situations and so forth.
yeah, and where did you go on vacation?
So we went to Jamaica for 1 week, and then we went to Florida, sort of Miami for 2 weeks.
How was that? That was a $1 million vacation.
It was a normal vacation.
Okay. Okay.
Once again, that $1 million doesn't change my personality, doesn't change my spending habits, right?
hmm Yeah. No, that makes sense. And are you able to say what type of thing you invested in or
Just
um
mutual funds, stocks, bonds. Of course, looking out for my two boys who are young, 18 and 21. So looking out for their future, their education, and then of course having something for their future.
I think it's amazing that in Canada the lottery prizes are tax free because that's not the case in the United States and in a lot of places. So the prize you win is the prize that you get.
Correct. That's one of the best features of the Canadian lottery system. It's tax free, but I suspect that they're taking it out from the back end, and then of course presenting it as tax free.
What do you mean on the back end?
I think that, for example, if you see a lottery that's $30 million, I think that they've already taken out a part of that
Hmm.
in order to give you that feel of tax free.
Hmm.
Because part of the lottery system, of course, goes back into our healthcare system, into our um, education system, and so forth, right?
How did your wife and how are other people reacting to this win?
My wife, of course. Well, it's quite ironic because my wife in 2022, I told my wife that I was going to win the lottery, and she blew me off. She didn't believe me, and I was saying to her, I really feel that it was going to happen. And yeah, she goes, oh yeah, whenever it happens, let me know. And then, of course, when I won it, it was just, it was, she was just really shocked by that because I predicted that I was actually going to do it.
When you told her this and she did not believe you, I mean, but you believed it? Were you saying it just in jest, or did you have a something that made you actually believe this?
So 2022 was a very interesting year. The first part of the year was, I was going through some health situations. We had COVID, the remnants of COVID, that psychological part. I had a family member who was dying. So there was a lot of events in my life in 2022, the first half, that was just, I was at the bottom of the situation emotionally and physically. And I kept thinking to myself, the reversal of fortune can actually take place where you're at the bottom, but you can actually swing the opposite way. And then the second half, I was just thinking positive thoughts. I was imagining winning the lottery, and then things just sort of fell into place. Winning small items. I had this feeling. It just was hanging over me, this aura. And then, of course, in August, the feeling was heightened. And of course, September, I purchased a ticket, and then, of course, I won. So there's a feel that I had, and it's hard to explain. A lot of your previous winners have actually had that feeling. It's quite, it's like supernatural. It's like a sixth sense. It's like something that's hard to describe if you haven't won. That was what I was going through before I won the lottery.
So would you say that you were in the flow state? And what exactly did this feeling, was it like a state that you were just in most of the time? What did this actually feel like?
There's a mental state that you could do it. You could just imagine something and it happens. And I was just visualizing. I was imagining winning the lottery. Didn't know the amount that I was going to win, but I knew it was just going to happen. I knew it was going to happen sometime in the near future. I just couldn't predict the exact, of course, time. And of course, there's a feel that you have in your body that something you touch just turns to, we'll say the expression, turns to gold.
Hmm.
I don't know if you had your similar situation in your win, but I could share a lot of characteristics from your previous winners when they went through that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that I've met and interviewed have been through that exact same scenario where they have this feeling, and many people have visualized it and imagined it and felt it. And even for me, I mean, that happened to me, and I actually told people as well that I was going to win, and I believed it because I was inspired by this vivid dream. But you don't have to have a dream about it, obviously. But you didn't have a dream about it, right?
I didn't have a dream about it, but I actually knew that I was going to win the lottery ticket in a small town in a mom and pop store. I knew that. I just had this intuition that was going to take place in that kind of venue, in that kind of environment.
It just sort of was a thought in your back of your head, or a hunch, or
It was a thought that I had, yes, of course.
hmm. Now, did you meditate on this sort of thing or anything, or did this sort of just come to you?
I didn't meditate; it just came to me. But when I look over, my 55 years of life, I've always been in the right place at the right time. I've always been in the situation where things fell into place. So winning this lottery, winning the $1 million, was just a natural order of how it was going to unfold for me.
Hmm.
Once again, it's hard to explain to the average person out there, but there is something behind that thought process that you can actually win it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting when you get into like quantum mechanics and that sort of thing too. I don't know if you're into that or what your thoughts are on that, but that we're connected, or whether or God or spiritual. I don't know if you're a spiritual person, but this connection to this other source. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't say that I'm religious, but I believe that there is something out there in the universe, and things fall in a particular order. I think that I'm quite fortunate to be aligned in that kind of environment where usually when I do visualize stuff, it actually takes place. And it's just not about winning money. It's about other things that can take place in your life. A successful relationship, having healthy kids, just being a good person in your community.
And when you feel this sort of thing and then it happens, you mentioned that you're a lucky person as well. It sounds like throughout your life, when you feel when this happens, you visualize something and then it happens. Are you feeling this as well? Like, what is the process like from visualization to something tangible that's actually happening in your life?
So I'll give you an example in winning that ticket or buying that ticket. I mean, I bought thousands of tickets over the years. But when I bought that ticket, there was something, when I touched that ticket, there was something different about it. It felt, there was something magical about that winning ticket. And when that was looking back after winning it, there was a feel, the sun was shining on that ticket when I walked out of the store. Just things were different about it, and I could feel it.
Hmm. And you felt that was the one, obviously.
Looking back, yeah, because of that moment of that sensation of that moment.
That is so interesting. I mean, the same thing happened to me. I really felt like the one that I won the big on, like I felt like that was the one, and many people that have won say the same thing. So where do you think that comes from?
I think it's just out of our control. I think it's just something up in the universe, something out there that's looking out for us. It just happens that way.
Do you think that this win was like predestined? Do you think that it was because you visualized and you felt it? How much do you think it was created or predestined or preordained? Like, what are your thoughts on this, the source, the fundamental source of this type of thing?
I think 90%, like I'd say 80% is preordained, but then 20%, of course, is you believing that it can actually happen. And that's I mean, I've had 3 years to reflect on this moment, and I would say that you still have to believe that you can actually accomplish that. And I mean, I'm on the record with my family and close friends and my wife. I believe I'm actually going to win again. It's just that field, it doesn't go away, right? It calms down, and then of course it starts up again. But I believe that I actually will win again.
Is there a specific game, or what do you think that what do you believe that you're going to win again?
I'm not sure, but I believe that it's going to be another lottery win. It's that mindset that I have that this was a nice win, but there's going to be a bigger win.
We hope to have you back in the future for that.
And hoping it's a Powerball win too, right?
Absolutely. But if this is preordained, so, and the same thing goes for, anybody, like for my win or anything, if 80% of this is predestined, then how, like, let's accept that for the sake of this conversation, then how is it predestined, or what are your thoughts on that?
Like I said, I think it's about the way you live your life, your positive thoughts, helping people in your community, giving back, of course. I think just things become a catalyst in order for good things to happen to you, right?
Yeah. So being in this positive place where, some people believe, I believe at least, that we're all connected, and if you help someone else, you're sort of helping yourself because we're all sort of connected, like that sort of mindset.
Exactly. And then, of course, being at the right place at the right time. I don't miss playing the lottery. I play my lottery tickets every Wednesday and every Friday. I don't miss a day. It could be a storm. It could be a tsunami. I'm still going to play the lottery.
Oh my gosh. So you are in it to win it. Was there, you've spoken a lot about your belief that you had before this happened. Was there ever a time before you won the million where you sort of had doubt about winning? And if so, how did you navigate that? Or you felt sort of like, like this just wasn't going to happen, or anything like that? Did you ever have that sort of thought, or no?
Never had that doubt. Never had the negativity towards winning the lottery. Like I said, I didn't know it was going to happen, the amounts, but I knew I was going to win the lottery. It's just a mindset that you have to have in order to put yourself in that situation to win. So for your viewers, for your listeners out there, You can win the lottery by putting yourself in that scenario, imagining that big moment, and of course the positive energy that goes towards that process.
And how much would you say is also, in addition to imagining it, feeling it as if you're already experiencing it?
Yeah, the feel is a big thing. Um, I would say it's a huge part of that winning process for
Hmm.
me. That's what happened for me. So.
Would you call this manifestation? Because some people might.
Um, it could be. I'm not really into the science of this of winning. I'm just more of the down to earth kind of situation where this is how I felt, this is what transpired, and it's going to continue. But
Right.
once again, anybody can win the lottery if you have the proper mindset, being in the right place at the right time, and of course the visualization of actually doing it. So it could be winning a car, it could be winning a house, we could be winning something big in life, getting a surgery and so forth. As long as you can visualize the success of it, then you can actually accomplish it.
Yeah, that is.
It's like athletes going through, Michael Jordan visualizing winning the NBA championship, Tiger Woods winning the Masters. They're always visualizing those things happening before they actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting when you look at the pro athletes and people that have been highly successful that are really into visualization and even the science of it is pretty interesting. But for anyone watching or listening to this today, definitely if you do choose to play the lottery, of course play responsibly and never spend more than you can afford to lose. But I mean, it's obviously you're a testament, and so am I, that real people and many people on the show that real people do win
Exactly.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah. In order to win, you have to play, right?
that's true. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just takes one, but yeah, just play responsibly if you do. For anyone wanting to create or get into this field where they're really tapped into this, where they visualize something that actually comes to fruition in their life. You've spoken about this throughout this interview. What is your best advice?
Not to try hard for it, just let it happen naturally. Um, After winning the lottery, you're always chasing the next big win, and you're playing it sort of harder. And I actually really had to get out of that mindset where I have to let it naturally happen and just go through the process of just go along with your daily life and just play the way you used to play. Don't change your habits. Don't spend more than you should. So I've always gone back to now just playing my normal twice a week, and it's $20 per week, and that's it.
So you don't chase, you attract.
You're tracked exactly.
Hmm.
So after the big win, I noticed I was chasing more instead of attracting, and I've actually sort of controlled myself in that mindset now.
What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned from this lottery win or from this whole experience of winning $1 million?
People always talk about, oh, it's going to change this, it's going to do that. It doesn't change your life if you have your life under control before you win. For me, it was just once again, it doesn't buy you happiness, it buys you security in case anything happens to your family. If any emergencies arise, you have that money as a tool in order to facilitate you out of any kind of situation. But for me, it didn't change me, my personality, didn't change my mindset, didn't change the way I interacted with other people and so forth. I mean, people look at you differently, but it didn't change me.
Yeah, and that's makes complete sense, and it's really interesting that you say that because the same thing happened to me and to some other people that have been on this show, that it doesn't necessarily change the person that wins, but the people around them, some people perceive them differently. So, how did you notice the perception changing?
Um, well, I would say that most people have never met a lottery winner. So that's sort of a unicorn situation. And people just want to know, well, how did you do it? And then, of course, you're always looked at differently because people are always looking at you and you're wondering what they're thinking. But I think it's more out of amazement that they know somebody who actually won the lottery, because it's very rare to even find somebody who, I've never met a lottery winner before I won. So it's a very unique moment and a unique situation.
And now all you have to do is look in the mirror.
Right.
Well, welcome to the club. It's a rare, and I mean, I think it's the best club ever, and that's amazing. If someone listening today feels stuck or sort of down on their luck with life or anything, because you seem like a really positive person, I mean, what would you tell them?
Um, like I said, the first half of 2022 was a very difficult situation in my life, both physically, emotionally, family member who was dying. Um, Looking at that and saying, you know what, you can turn it around. Just visualize the positive side. Just don't give up, and then of course, things will fall into place. But of course, it's that mindset. You've got to dig really deep in order to get out of that abyss. And once you do, things just open up.
And for anyone that wins $1 million in the future, because it can happen to anybody. I mean, if anyone does that's watching or listening to this, what's your best advice for them?
I would just have a timeout period for a couple months. I would get a good financial advisor and just take life very slow. The money's always going to be there, but just do things very slow. Just don't rush into any wants that you want. Okay, I would say material wants. Don't rush into that. It's always going to be there. The $1 million is just that, making your life easier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For anyone playing the lottery that's playing and hoping to win, you've mentioned your belief in the power of positivity and visualization and getting into this field. What's your best advice to players?
Um, you have to be very consistent. You have to play in order to win. Like I said to you, I've been playing over 33 years. I don't miss a day. It's part of my routine. It's like waking up, brushing your teeth, doing your normal things that you do. It's built into my twice a week daily routine.
That's amazing. And play if you choose to play, definitely play responsibly. Anyone watching or listening, but your story is incredible, and I'm so happy for you with this $1 million win. It's amazing. And from a scale of 1 to 10, when you found out that you won, what was the level of like euphoria and adrenaline and that sort of thing for you?
I would say it's 11 out of 10, but I was very calm. I felt very vindicated because I told my wife that I was going to win the lottery. I told friends that I was going to win the lottery. So that sort of just released this heaviness off my chest that I actually did it.
And how did people that you said that you were going to win and then you actually did? I mean, that's for a lot of people, it'd be a really surreal moment. How did people react to that you had told?
They were just shocked. They couldn't believe I actually pulled off what I said I was going to do. And just, there's going to be people who doubt you, but just, it just happens. So, I mean, you set that goal, and of course, you don't deviate from doing it, and that's what really made me I win the $1 million. So
That's incredible. Well, Alton, congratulations again. It's such a wonderful, amazing story. Is there anything else that you want to say about your experience, your win, or anything that I didn't ask about, or that you just want to say, or maybe I don't even know enough to ask about?
like I said to you, I'm going to be on the record. I will be back on your show, and I'm hoping that's going to be a American lottery win.
So you're going for the Powerball, it sounds like.
I love playing the Powerball. Love playing the Powerball.
Well, I definitely wish you good luck. We would love to host you again, and I'm very excited about that. But thank you so much for your time today. Your story is really incredible, and it's such a pleasure meeting you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Timothy, for the opportunity to be on your show.
God is real, because like I said, I would pray. I prayed that night after watching your interview with Gavin when he won us that $150,000 scratch off.
So you won $5 million the very next day?
The very next day. That night I prayed before I went to sleep. That night I talked to God. So I scratched off the barcode. I saw all this confetti. I saw a 5 and a whole lot of zeros. I just couldn't understand what was happening. Is this real? Yes, it's real. I just started feeling really, confused, happy, excited, nervous. It was a lot of emotions all at one time that just hit me.